Hello class, welcome to section 3.4 where we're going to multiply and divide integers. So if we have an even number of pluses, actually an even number of negative signs. If we have a positive times a positive, we're going to get a positive. Negative times negative equals a positive. Even numbers, remember, are 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. Here we have 0 negatives, our answer is going to be positive. Here we have 2 negatives, so our answer is positive. Same thing with dividing. Positive divided by positive equals positive. Negative divided by negative equals positive. Now if we have an odd number of negative signs, so a positive times a negative, it's going to equal negative. Negative times positive equals negative. Just like dividing, positive divided by negative is negative. Negative divided by positive is negative. So I'll do a few examples here. Say we have negative 8 times 7. Alright, so we have one negative sign here, so our answer is going to be negative, and we're going to multiply 8 times 7 and get 56. If we have 3 times 3, we have 0 negatives, so it's just going to be positive times positive equals positive. 3 times 3 is 9. If we have negative 6 times negative 3, we have 2 negatives, so that's going to be positive, and 6 times 3 is 18. And go back to this one, negative 3 times negative 3. We have negative times negative, we have 2 negatives, so that's positive. 3 times 3 is 9. Let's say we have 2 times negative 5. We have only one negative, and so we're going to have an answer is negative, and it's going to be negative 10. So for dividing, say we have 20 divided by 2. We have 2 positives here, so we're just going to get 10. Say we have negative 20 over 2. We have one negative, so our answer is going to be negative. It's going to be negative 10. If we have negative 20 over negative 2, dividing negative by negative, so we're going to get positive 10. And say we have 20 over negative 2, we have one negative, so the answer is going to be a negative 10. Let's go back to a multiplication. Let's say we have 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. So we have an even number of negatives, so our answer is going to be positive, and it's just going to be 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. We could also say 2 times negative 2 is negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. If we have negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, we have an odd number, 1, 2, 3 negatives, so our answer is a negative, and 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. There's a bunch of ways that you can look at these. This is one of them. Do it however is easiest for you. Okay, so another thing here is anything divided by 1 is that number. So basically what we're saying here is x over 1 equals x. Negative 3 divided by 1 is negative 3. 2 divided by 1 is 2. 0 divided by 1 is 0. If you have 0 or 1 on the bottom, it's just going to be whatever number is on top. So let's look at some that have a little bit more to them. Say we have 8 times negative 6 plus 9 plus 9 times negative 2 plus 8. So we have to do what's in the parentheses first. So we have 8 times, we have a negative 6 plus 9, which will be 9 minus 6, which is 3. Keep the sign of the 9, which was a positive. Plus 9 times negative 2 plus 8. We're going to subtract big minus small. 8 minus 2 is 6. And the sign of the 8 was a positive, so we keep that. So now we're going to do our multiplications. 8 times 3 is 24. We have a plus. 9 times 6 is 54. Add these together and we get 78. If we had 8 times negative 6 plus 9 plus 9 times 2 minus 8, it'll be a little different. We'd have 8 times 3 plus 9, and here would be negative 6. So 24 minus 54, which is negative 30. Because 9, or positive times negative, is a negative. Alright, so let's say we have, I'm going to go back to some squares and exponents. So x squared just equals x squared. Negative x squared equals negative x squared. And then in parentheses, negative x, that whole thing squared, equals x squared. So this is what I talked about in the previous section with when we're squaring numbers. Because remember, this x squared means x times x. This one means negative x times x. And this one means negative x times negative x. And here, negative times positive is negative. Here, negative times negative is positive. So you can rewrite these if you need to. So we have negative 5 squared. Now I'm going to use an actual number. This means negative 5 times 5, because we're using 5 2 times. And negative 5 times 5, we have one negative, so that equals negative 25. But if we had negative 5, the whole thing squared, that's negative 5 times negative 5, because this 2 affects the negative and the 5. So negative times negative is positive, and it's 25. We did ones like these in the previous section, but this is just showing you what the difference is by using whether you have one negative sign or two negative signs and where they go. So that is the end of section 3.4.